Services, just like we planned. And I'm happy to say that the building is safe, that the threat appears to be dubious, and we are functioning as if, just like we planned. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Commissioner Maxwell to talk about his team's great effort to make sure that every voter has a chance to vote tonight and get out the information about where they can vote if they were disrupted.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Maxwell, Chair of the Board of Commissioners Elections here in Chester County. To my left is Commissioner Marion Moskowitz, who's going to talk about some of the, and Commissioner Eric Rowe are going to talk about some of the things the DA mentioned. Chester County, we take election security and security in general very, very seriously. We were prepared for the GSC and our other government buildings for any threat that might come through on this election day, or quite frankly, any other day. So our staff was very prepared for this bomb threat. Got the GSC up and going after some dogs were able to look for bombs. And some of our work was delayed for a short period of time. But election staff is still full throttle, ready to go. Emergency services staff is made quick work of this because of the preparation that they had. And we're incredibly proud of our election team, our emergency services team, and all the law enforcement in Chester County that did a great job keeping us all safe today. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Commissioner Marion Moskowitz.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Marion Moskowitz, M-A-R-I-A-N-M-O-S-K-O-W-I-T-Z. I am Vice Chair of the Board of Commissioners. And I just want to talk a little bit about this coordination because it involved not only our District Attorney's Office, our Sheriff's Office with our dogs, our amazing dogs, the FBI, our Department of Emergency Services. Everybody has been prepared in the event something happens. And everybody did what they were supposed to do. We are very grateful. We are now back in the building. We did not lose much time, and mail-in ballots are being counted. There's really no delay because that's in a different building. So we are set up to start collecting the vote tallies at the GSC, and everything is running smoothly. Thank you. Commissioner Rowe?
Good evening. I'm Chester County Commissioner Eric Rowe, E-R-I-C-R-O-E. The Chester County Government Services Center was home to 2 polling precincts here in Chester County, West Goshen South 2 and West Goshen South 4. Those voters who were not able to vote at the Government Services Center are being diverted to 2 neighboring polling precincts. One is the Seventh-day Adventist Church on South High Street in West Goshen Township, also known as West Goshen South 1. The other is Glen Acres Elementary School, also known as West Goshen South 3. Those voters who had not been able to vote yet will still be able to vote until 10 o'clock p.m. Chester County Common Pleas Judge Nicole Forzato signed an order extending voting at those 2 polling precincts until 10 o'clock p.m. Not only were those 2 polling precincts located at the GSC, but the Chester County 911 Center was also at the GSC, and it seamlessly transferred to an alternative location. I think this incident showcased that we were prepared, that we had an incident command center ready for any situation, including this one, and I'm pleased to say that we should not be terribly delayed in getting our results from most Chester County polling locations, apart from these 2 locations that were disrupted. Thank you.
Questions?
Sheriff, I don't know if you can answer this question about how many people were in the GSC at the time and how long they were evacuated and then allowed back in the building.
I can't give you a specific number of Board of Services in the building. Our EOC was assigned there, as well as members of the Department of Emergency Services. I would say by the time we arrived, the Sheriff's Department arrived, the building had been evacuated at that point, which was probably within 10 minutes of receiving a call.
And then when were they allowed back inside?
After about an hour, hour and a half after the sweep was done on the building, as well as the parking lot area, they were allowed back in the building. It was rendered safe.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the FBI still involved in the investigation?
Yes, the District Attorney's Office, Chester County detectives have been in constant contact with the FBI.
And the email was sent to whom? who got the email? Was it to a specific person? Was it a group of people? And who got that email?
It's my understanding it was just came into voter services.
So a bunch of people got the same email? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Voter Services collective office address.
Okay, so like a general email. Okay.
I'll add real quick that another county in Pennsylvania, voter services office, got the exact same email at the exact same minute, right, that we received it in Chester County. So it adds this layer that this is coordinated and that this is a dubious threat that everyone is seeing.
Do you know what county that was? Other county that was?
I think it's Center County.
And was that the only other county that you know of that received the same threat?
Whether they're the same or not, it seemed to be linked either by, the FBI tells us it seemed to be linked at over 10 counties have been affected and they're responding in different ways based on this.
We had heard some reports that some of the emails were sent in Russian. Is that what happened here?
Ours is in.
Can you talk about the nature of what was in the email? What it exactly it said? Like, generally, it said there's a bomb threat in government building.
Yeah, if someone responds that it's going to explode, there's something to that extent. It's just it's a generic bomb threat.
And at this point in time, are all ballots secure as far as you're aware?
As far as we're aware, there's no problem with any of that. It's all for the commissioners.
Every ballot in Chester County is absolutely secure. All our buildings are secure. Part of our work is delayed for about an hour to an hour and a half, as the sheriff mentioned. But the election here in Chester County is 100% safe.
In terms of people who were impacted that were trying to vote, I don't know who this would be a question directed to. They're going to the other polling locations, and that's been extended till 10 o'clock. Does that also include other voters, or it's just the impacted voters who are going to the impacted building?
Only people who may vote after 8 p.m. and until 10 p.m. are those voters who were either in line at a polling precinct anywhere in Chester County by 8 p.m. or were meant to vote at West Goshen South 2 or West Goshen South 4. Those two polling precincts, their voters are allowed to vote until 10 p.m. at either the Seventh-day Adventist Church on South High Street or at Glen Acres Elementary School.
How do you tell if people are coming there for that reason? Do they have to show something?
So they will be voting provisionally. In order to vote provisionally, they need to provide their addresses as well as other information specific to that voter, and then those provisional ballots will then be reviewed at a later time. So we will know who was meant to vote at which precinct.
What is that other information so voters who are considering going can know?
I voted by provisional ballot myself today. I had to provide my home address, my full name as it was on my registration card, my phone number, and my email address.
Did you have to vote provisionally because of the incident this evening?
No, I did not.
What was the reason that you had to vote provisionally?
I lost my mail-in ballot. But you know what? Our voter services staff at my polling precinct did a great job taking care of me. They're going to do a great job taking care of everybody in West Goshen South 2 and West Goshen South 4.
And does this impact any other voting precincts other than those two voting precincts that you identified?
It does not.
So any other person that was in line after 8 o'clock in any other precinct in Chester County will not be afforded the opportunity to vote after 8 p.m.
At every other precinct in Chester County, they needed to be in line by 8 o'clock p.m., but so long as they were by 8 o'clock p.m., they get to vote.
Were there any voters in the GSE when it's called in and were scheduled to evacuate?
Yes, absolutely.
How many do you know?
And several of you said that you were prepared, for whatever may happen. Was there anything, any indication prior to this that there would be these specific threats, or were you just generally prepared for?
No, we have learned a lot along the way, as every other county has, and we really set up a structure where in the event that anything went wrong, we had a response, an immediate response, to make sure that everybody was safe and secure and our ballots were safe and secure.
But things are fine in terms of counting. I mean, obviously, there's no bomb threat, but no full disruption to counting the ballots, getting the votes in, and
There
whatnot.
is no disruption whatsoever.
What time do you anticipate the precincts having the votes in at the other locations other than the ones that were impacted?
Well, they should be arriving now. They all should be arriving with their information.
So from the time that the polls close until the time that the precincts are able to report, how long do you anticipate that to be?
It varies, because if there's still people online, they must allow them to vote, so some may be longer than the others, and then they have to drive here.
So the first ballots that could have been counted were just arriving at GSE as contract received, as people went back in.
No, not quite. That was a little early yet for them.
Well, I will say that I was over at my precinct here in the borough, and they did not have the tape posted until about 5 minutes before I got notice of this press conference. So it seemed like there might have been a little bit of a lag time between when the polls closed and when the tape was available at the precinct.
That's very likely, yes. They have to organize and get things together.
Sheriff, can you just spell your last name for me so I can have it on?
First name is Kevin, and Dykes, Jason David, YKS.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anything you can say to voters who might feel upset or intimidated or afraid after this? Who might not want to come back out? People who are still meant to vote here.
It's very disappointing that elections, which are run by nonpartisan election officials, attract so much negative attention. I think every resident in Pennsylvania, regardless of their affiliation or passion about particular candidate, feels that in some way this year. But it also means that it's incredibly important for them to get out and vote, because their vote matters as much as anybody in the country or the world. So we're encouraging all of our residents to get out, make sure they get their vote counted, because this is just an example of how important that vote is.
And I just want to go back to the 911. You said 911 is in that building? The 911 dispatch is
Yes, sir.
in that building? How was that impacted at all for that hour you mentioned?
The
People had
building
evac-
was evacuated, the whole entire building. Was
So was the 911 and dispatch
Yes.
system interrupted for an hour as well?
Yes.
No.
But there was a second location at the Public Safety Training Center out in South Coatesville.
Oh, there's another location
Yes.
that picked
Yeah.
up.
Once it was evacuated, they immediately began to move operations over to that location.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.